Also, we're live on Twitch now.
Hello, Twitch. Are you sure?
I just hit go, so
Oh, no, you are.
there we
Ooh.
go. Ooh. Wasn't the last one 25? According to the message linked by Sog, the last one was 24. Time is a flat circle, yeah. As usual, giving people time to shuffle in. Azure says new Hurl PFP. Big if true. And it is true. Wow.
That hasn't been new for, I don't know, a year.
No, I don't believe you. I'll give it another minute, let's say.
I'm gonna copy paste here.
Azure says rumor has it that we are getting the pug start soon. Yes, this rumor has been circulating. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Would you hear that from the pug?
Maybe. I've heard it from my handlers. I cannot say who they are, though. A wall says obligatory Endless Sky mug related update statement. Thank you for that. We need to make sure we had that checked off the to-do list. Who do you think controls the deep state?
Which deep?
Exactly. When are humans going to be added to the game? We've been working on them for a long time. Still have some things to iron out, you know.
They're missing 2 storylines. More like 4 at this point. With the merchant and the pilot ideas.
Sobi says volume doesn't go up anymore. Not sure what you mean by that. Consider decreasing density. Alright, well, it's been a good few minutes. We have a nice cast of characters here. So, I guess it's time to properly get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 25th monthly developer Campfire chat. For those of you who may be new, we do this every month, every first Saturday of the month, generally speaking. And it is just a place for people to ask questions, for us to talk about the development of the game for the over the course of the past month. And whenever there is an update upcoming, we'll also highlight some of what you'll be looking forward to if you're somebody who does not play off of the continuous version of the game on GitHub and you instead use something like Steam or GOG where you only get specific versions. I am joined today. We have Doom, Tybe, Tom, Sog. That's everyone, right? None of the other devs are here. I'm not leaving anyone out. Azure, not actually a dev, but I just wanted to say your name. We do have a submission box for questions. If you look at the message where I pinged everyone, you can submit questions at the link listed there, but you can also just ask them in chat. If you absolutely want a question answered, then you usually want to submit it, but we're also constantly looking back and forth at chat. Then I'm also live on Twitch, although generally that is just for the sake of recording this for anybody who can't make it at this time. Czech Warrior asks, important dev question. How are you guys today? I'm doing swell. How about the rest of you guys? Doom says, I'm good, thank you.
I'm a little sick
Socks is
because,
sick.
yeah, seasons are changing. Every time that happens, I get sick
Oh, yeah.
because
Dude,
of
I
the
got sick
pressure and
twice
whatnot.
last month.
Yeah.
The first time was for like a week, and the second time it was for 3 days. I'm like, what in the world is going on right now? But I'm alive at the moment. Azure says Regalian Plague. Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything that any of you guys have to talk about? Any announcements? Anything we want to highlight at the moment before we hop into questions? I'll take that as a no. Then the one announcement from me, the next update for the game will be released at the end of this month on September 27th, the last Saturday of the month. That will be version 0.10.15. That's how we currently have it labeled. What will it contain? Somebody asks. At the moment, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of out of the loop for the past month-ish. So I don't know how much in the way of content we're having. But I do know that I believe I saw that the hold fire command has been re-implemented. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Tom wrote the code, and it was merged, I think, last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for anybody who played a few versions ago, we added the ability to send a hold fire command to your escorts. That is a feature that's been asked for a long time, but there were some difficulties with the way that you sent orders to your escorts that meant that we needed to change how that whole system works before we could actually add a hold fire command. I was the one who did the initial implementation of that, and we ended up finding a set of pretty nasty bugs with it. So we were just like, all right, just pull the whole thing out. We'll do it more correctly later. So that is now back into the game and should be not sucky this time around. Yeah,
So what you can do now is you can press a key, and that toggles whether or not your ships are holding fire, and it affects both your flagship and your escorts. So even if you have the auto fire preference turned on for your flagship, it should stop it from firing automatically. But you can still fire anything manually if you want to.
Nice. I was not actually aware of that specific part of it, but that is very helpful. Let me skim through the commit history to see if there's anything else worth mentioning. I do know that something that I like that Tom has done some pull requests for. So there's different places in the UI where when you scroll, sometimes it'll just instantly jump to wherever the next position is, and sometimes it will smoothly move from the current location to the next location. And I think originally everything just snapped to the next location. Over the years, we've added smooth scrolling to more locations in the UI, and I think that Tom got like most of the rest that were doing snap scrolling instead of smooth scrolling. So, for example, if when you zoom in and out when you're flying around, that smooth scrolling or that scrolls smoothly. Excuse me. But if you were to go to the map, then that would be snap scrolling. That now smooth scrolls as well. Tom says there's still a lot normal scrolling left. I just did it. The map and the messages. Yeah, yeah. Then the other one was the list of messages in the bottom left-hand corner when you see hails and stuff like that. That now smoothly scrolls up instead of snapping into position. Sirde says this scroll is so smooth. Yeah. Corneros says, speaking of UI, it needs to be more flexible to accommodate the various screen dimensions. I would ask which particular screen dimensions you have in mind, because Azure says remove the small screen UI support. I hate it. And yeah, and also Warpcore asks which parts of the UI are you referring to?
I'm pretty sure that we don't support vertical displays that much. Everything is just horizontal.
Yeah.
Oh, on mobile. So mobile actually has an entirely different UI setup from what you get with the normal game. We don't actually make that code.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't even know what it looks like right now. I haven't played it in 2 years.
Yeah. I'm still skimming
I've
through to
been
see if there's any other. I know that we
I've
have a new
been whoop,
storyline, a small little string of missions with the Syndicate, correct?
mhm.
Oh no, it's just a. It says new. Yeah, new missions that extend the Syndicate investment storyline. So if anybody was invested in that, um, you have no. You'll have more content
All right.
next update.
Yeah, just skimming through everything. I've also been in and out this past couple of months too. It's probably going to be a bit of a lighter content update this time around.
Mm-hmm.
More just smaller fixes, smaller content. There's things like more gas giants and collision spaces, some descriptions, some fixes and balancing the content. The heavy gust is now available on the Wanderer side of things. A little bit better of a strong wind, and a new Lost Racer human mission chain got recently merged. So it's this update's going to be a bunch of small things. It's also just kind of that time of the year. Usually when it's like midsummer and everyone's kind of doing their own thing, it kind of slows down a bit. But once we start getting closer to winter and like Christmas time and whatnot, things usually pick up back up a bit more for like the holidays and such. So
Mm-hmm.
it, it is not summer. It is unfortunately not going to be summer for much longer.
Yeah.
It's already starting to get a little colder. But yeah, it's autumn. That's true. It's getting to be autumn. I got older 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm always getting older, but yeah, my kick day was 2 days ago. Thank you.
Nice. And you are now dot dot dot.
Uh, that's classified information.
It's okay.
I hate when Warp calls me old because I feel like he acts more old than I.
um, I'll note that
I'm
it looks like the other day on Thursday we added support for FLAC file music playback and AVIF images. So if you are, I know the AVIF images is going to allow us to more easily store animations for ships,
Yes.
right?
So with that, you can actually have an entire animation in a single file. So you no longer have to export 100 different frames into different files. That's that actually saves quite a bit of storage space as well, but it's also easier to work with in general.
That's nice. And then we now support FLAC files for music. Uh, Nothing too crazy there, just another file format that we support, right?
Pretty much, yes. Some people prefer it over MP3. It's more open source and it can also get better quality, but there isn't a huge difference for most people.
Good to hear. Yeah, Bazbop asks, what's the status on Unicode/non-ASCII support? I know it's been planned, and Doom responds, the short answer is we'd like to do it, but it would be very difficult to do at the moment, yeah. And then, yeah, Tom says, it's been planned is a good description for it. I know that there was originally, well, of course, his plan seems a bit generous. Okay, we're just, slowly, winding back. It's like, yeah, we're working on it, but it'd be a bit difficult to do. It's been planned is a good description. Planned is a bit generous. Yeah.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah. There was a pull request a long time ago that sought to add it, but I believe at the moment the game plan is more to update bits and pieces of the engine until we eventually are able to more easily add it, right? I know that I feel like somebody was working on that. Yeah, Doom says I suppose planned would imply that we have a plan.
Yeah. The Weirdnet was doing some work on it like probably 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything more recent. Oh, and I see that we have Peter here now as well.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Hello, Peter.
Hello, did I join at a good time?
Yeah, we're only generally just getting started here, so
We're gonna
plenty of
put you in the
time left.
spotlight right away. How you doing?
Oh no, hello. Well, I can handle that, no worries.
All right. Well, guess it's about time to jump into the submitted questions. I'll note that before we started, we had 4. Now we have 8. But as usual with some of you guys, some of these are not questions. It's just schizo rambling, basically. The first one, though, is a proper question. Is there any chance we will have more Shiragi tech or lore in the game? I mean, really, there's a
Good question.
possibility of a lot of things, right? There's nothing I know of that anybody's working on at the moment. As far as tech, not sure. As far as lore, I don't see why not. It's just a matter of somebody writing a storyline that involves them.
To my knowledge, last time something like this was brought up, we're for sure not going to do the Pug Galaxy Shiragi thing, if some of you know what that is. Um, it was lore from back when the Shiragi might possibly be in another galaxy, which isn't going to happen. I remember when we were talking about that back then, that the creator of the Shiragi content, I think that's Carrie. I don't know her Discord name right now. Overall, we wanted the Shiragi to keep the Shiragi a bit more minimal in their presence in the galaxy because they're kind of meant to be that sort of archaeological storyline where you find some ancient ruins, some ancient ship, things like that, and there's a little bit more lore in the galaxy. But as for like more tech, more I don't know, ships, outfits, and stuff, probably not. Just to keep it limited and to have a smaller scope for those kinds of stories. We don't need everything to be like a big campaign sort of deal.
Yeah.
Striker did to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. Yeah. So what you have in the game right now is kind of like a good extent of like what like remains of them. So as for more lore for them, I mean there could be more lore for them, like Derpy was saying. But as for like more like outfits and just tech and everything in general, likely not.
hmm Yeah, I think that it's. I feel like the Emerald Sword should be like, hey, this is the one piece of surviving Shiragi tech that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's all long gone. Because
And more
otherwise, if
stuff.
we start suddenly
Yeah.
like having more Shiragi tech somewhere, kind of
Yeah.
cheapens the point of what the Emerald Sword is supposed to be in the story.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the next submission, I won't call this. I mean, it has a question mark in it. I'll tell you that. But Warpcore posted it in chat, in all caps. How long has it been? 1 month? Question mark. Our transmission has not been receiving any replies. Please come in. Does Endless Sky have faster than light travel? Question mark. And Warp says it does not. I guess that's the answer to that. There's no
Yeah.
faster than
Every
light travel.
system is just in one solar system. It's just a really big one.
Yeah, it's all actually pretty close. And everyone's just like really small relative to like what we experience. It's it all fits on a football field. How about that? To use some American units of measurement.
You seen ant zoom by, and that was a sparrow that just flew to the next planet.
Yeah. Can we get an update / roadmap on the Republic story? I know y'all hate getting asked this question, so I apologize. I don't have any updates. Anyone else?
Last time I heard, Roadrunner still wanted to kind of get some things outlined for that, but she got pretty busy with school. I believe she graduated recently, or she passed like a big test, so she's gotten busy. But I know that she and some others might come back to it later on. That's about all there is to that.
Yep. And then another storyline question right after that. When will the next update to the Coalition and Avgi stories be?
Where's Raki? Azure can answer in chat. Araki has stated that he will probably not have a lot of time to allocate to writing the Coalition content. He's kind of opened that up a little bit. See if I think it's in the Discord somewhere. There are a couple of content creators looking at what could be in future Coalition content. There's no explicit roadmap for it right now, but there are eyes looking at it and continuing at what's already in the game with the Heliarchs and the Lunarium. Azure for the Abgi says he's actually finished writing chapter 1, but once he has some time, he shouldn't actually take that long. Prioritizing school as well.
Research.
Yeah.
Yeah. As is usually the case with the development of this game, since it's just a hobby for everyone, things can move slow at times, and then sometimes things move extremely fast. Right now, it's just one of those slow times.
Yep.
All right, the next post is Endless Sly. Warp says you're drunk, go home. The one after that, Remnant Bees continuing development soon, with a bunch of misspellings. Warp says, I'm not familiar with Remnant Bees. You may also be drunk. I wonder if it's the same person.
It's probably just Lunaria. But is that the one?
Hey, don't be
I
calling
don't
names.
even know.
Hey, these are anonymous questions. Let's not speculate on who may or may not have posted these questions.
There are about like 1.5 people in this server who write like that. I mean,
Yeah. All right. Well, the next question. Are there any plans on revamping the tutorial with new concepts and features or offering different paths? Well, we already have different paths in the sense that the ship you choose will change the missions you get. If you're referring to the James tutorial. If you're referring to the help pop-ups, we have been updating those with new features as they've been added. But I don't think there's been any changes done to the James missions for quite some time. I know there was a point in the past where we did update them. I think the Sparrow start probably got the biggest changes where we added a whole mission to go over mining. But otherwise, there's not any real plans at the moment. Yeah, Warp says, not that I know of. What new concepts or features do you think should be included in the tutorial? And what different paths do you think there should be? Yeah, this is one of those questions we would definitely flip back on you guys in terms of what do you think is not tutorialized well and needs to be tutorialized. I will note, though, that in terms of the, I guess you could say, design of Endless Sky, how things are set up, we try not to over-tutorialize things. The UI, I mean, I usually say, like, go to the controls section and read the tooltips, you know? Like, that's most of the tutorial of how to do things is just reading tooltips. And then there's some more obscure key combos and whatnot that we do have those pop-up tutorials for. But the James tutorial, that's really more of a, like, getting you into the world of Endless Sky type of deal than it is a, hey, let's go over absolutely everything you may or may not need to know type of deal. Because part of the draw of the game is that it's very explorative, or there's a lot of exploration to it. Where you need to kind of go out and figure out these things for yourself. We're not going to handhold you and tell you everything. Somebody says, a lot of my time when I come back after an update is spent on the control section. Yeah. Heston says, mining feels like an afterthought. What's the point? It's largely an early game means of making money. Yeah, sure says you get money to shoot things. Yeah. Does there need to be another point? Warp says it literally is an afterthought. I mean, in the sense that the thought of mining came after most of the rest of the base game, then yes.
I'm not sure if the thought of it has come later, but it being utilized heavily in gameplay was definitely a later addition. MZ actually didn't want that.
Yeah. Although we have added to the mining mechanics every so often, like the tractor beam. We added the sunder and the mining drones, stuff like that. Mining lasers. So it's a section of the game that we've added to. Although I will point out that the goal with any individual mechanic is not for it to be always something you should be engaging in. So it's not like we want you to always be engaging in mining and running jobs and combat and whatever else you might come up with, like, I don't know, trading commodities. Like I said earlier with how the game's open to you to do whatever you want with. If you enjoy mining, like I know some people do, then mine to your heart's content. But if you're not that interested in the mine mechanics and you want to go do something else, like just run jobs or plunder pirates, then you do you. When will we get the option to do sublight traveling between systems? Sure says we won't. If you want to wait for 4 years to get from one location to the other, then be my guest.
You can probably already do that. You just never tried hard enough.
Yeah.
My game crashed after 3.5 years of trying.
That's rough. When will alien ships have abilities or skills? Probably never. This isn't Pokemon.
Intimidate. Passive.
Intimidate. That'd be funny. Quark ship, like an Archon enters the system, and then suddenly everything gets its DPS cut in half.
Yeah.
Korath used overheat. James says, wait, weren't you planning on adding ability system a while ago, Derpy? I don't know, is that what I called it?
Yes. Nobody liked it.
Nobody
At
liked
least
the
the
name.
name.
I don't know why. Whatever, bro.
Will more Archons be added? Maybe? Depends on what they be
You
used
said,
for.
quote, I can't think of a name other than this, but I also hate this name. I don't think I said I hate the name. I said I can maybe grant that you could potentially come up with a better name, but just nobody came up with a better name.
What's the thing after secondary? Triary?
Tertiary.
Tertiary? Yeah.
Tertiary outfits, tertiary weapons. All right. This next question is one that we can go around all the devs here, and maybe other people can chime in too. What is your favorite part of the game to work on / expand? Who wants to go first?
What game?
Sure says I like shooting down the poor quest of poor innocent new people. Go ahead.
I don't actually have a good answer for this. Like recently, I spent most of my time working with the audio code and getting towards better music support. But I wouldn't say that I prefer that to anything else, really. Especially that some of the bugs are really horrendously weird and difficult to find. It's
Yeah.
actually quite painful.
Tom says writing buggy code is the best. You can feel like a jack tearing apart the fabric of space-time. For myself, I would say that my favorite part is whenever I get to work on a new mechanic that I think is cool, and just theorizing the ways that what I'm working on can be used in the game. Like, oh no, let me pull up my open pull request and see what sort of things I have going on. Okay, this one's actually, I don't know, for some people this might be super bland, but for me, I really liked this. My most recently open pull request is creating a tooltips class. So whenever you mouse over certain things in the game and you get that little pop-up with the text telling you what it is, for anybody who hasn't dug into the code, every single time we have a pop-up like that, it is code that is custom to that part of the UI. And there's a bunch of different places that we have tooltips like that. So if you really pay attention, you'll also notice that the way the tooltips display between different UI panels is inconsistent because of the fact that they're custom to every individual panel that has tooltips. So I was like, this sucks. And I made a separate class that handles the generation of tooltips for every location in the game that wants to create a tooltip. And it looks a lot snazzier, I think. And the one big thing, if you've ever hated the fact that when you mouse over something and the tooltip covers the thing you're trying to read about, that will be gone. I now make it so the tooltip appears at a fixed position next to whatever you're mousing over. So it's like one of those really small improvements that most people probably won't even recognize, but it's like, to me, it matters, you know?
That sounds great. Though I just looked at the PR and it's adding over twice as much code as it's removing, which is weird because all of that code should have been duplicated everywhere. So
The thing
I'm
is,
not sure
though,
what's going on there.
there's two things. One, some of the tooltip code was more complex in some locations than others. So, for example, the tooltip code in the load panel, when you're looking at your save files, if you mouse over a save file, it gives you the date that that save file was created. Those tooltips appear, they're very small and they appear in the center of the screen. So there's no possibility that that tooltip could go off the edge of the screen. But if you're in the shop, for example, then the tooltips on the right side of the screen could potentially, if they were drawn normally, go off the right side of the screen. So that tooltip code had to have a section that says, okay, let me flip it to the left side or flip it up if this tooltip would have gone off screen normally. So there's that. Then there's the fact that I also actually made the new tooltip code a bit more robust than anything that existed anywhere. I mean, part of what I mentioned how the tooltip would always appear exactly at your mouse, but now it has to appear at a corner of the zone that you're hovering over that the tooltip appears at. So that added a few lines, quite a few probably. Like the tooltip class itself is half of that. Yeah, 262 lines just for the class. And I mean, granted, too, some of moving stuff to a class also, I mean, you have to add the header, you know, the copyright header, and you have a header file and a CPP file. So, you know, it's
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. If you go through the files that used to have tooltips that do have tooltips that are now using the tooltip class, those files shrunk. So that's the I guess the important part is those files shrunk. It's the number of lines gained is gained back in the creation of the class itself.
I'll sneak my answer in, and it's a bit of a cop-out answer, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, me too." I really like working with the new content in the game, especially like new alien factions and species. It's kind of like a double-edged sword because I want us to like not worry about that and work on existing content first, and at the same time, I like seeing new ideas, new things, and especially play testing it, balancing missions whether or not they break, stuff like that. Just actually getting into the nitty-gritty of big content areas of the game. And especially, obviously, I do a lot of artwork for the game, so working with the models and the graphics is probably what I enjoy most about it.
Anyone else? If not, then we can move on.
Warp hates the game. He didn't say anything. Okay.
Called out. His favorite part of the game is removing buggy code. Not
It's just
fixing it, just
removing.
straight up removing it.
It's just removing anything.
Yeah.
I'm also very happy if the amount of bugs get reduced.
Yeah.
Not sure which direction though. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Next question.
oh,
When?
banning people from reporting bugs. Cool.
Yeah. Next question. When is High Reveal being reworked / removed? I was planning on
So
doing it this update, but then I was busy for a month with life. And now there's less than a month until the update is over, so probably not sure if I'm squeezing it in this update. In terms of, I guess an update on High Reveal. I don't know if I gave an update the last time I was on one of these chats, and if this is just going to be a repeat of what I said then. But what I want to do at this point is just go in and pull everything from High Reveal out again, and then just open a new pull request, which is everything, not entirely from scratch, but I do want to work on some fairly heavy rewrites of the storyline, and the main gist of what I want to do is just take the scope of the story and make it a lot smaller than it was before. Because I know that there's been a lot of talk about that storyline, and I think one of the big issues with it was just that it was trying to do way too much. So it was very all over the place, and stuff kind of felt like it happened for no reason sometimes.
It went from like a campaign in the high side of things and continuation of like their existence after the Free Worlds campaign into more of like its own separate arc and part of the story of the game, and kind of being kind of a bit of a movie in of itself.
Yeah.
um, so kind of bringing it back down to earth and making it more of a branch off of what's currently existing in the game is a bit more workable in a smaller scope.
Mm-hmm. All right, and next question. This is an interesting one. Is there a, quote, wrong way to play the game? Some series of choices that is outright unintended, not through a bug or glitch method, but simply through being the completely incorrect way to do things.
Don't use your jump key.
Warp says paying off the loan instead of buying a ship when you start a new save file.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, given the fact that you effectively soft lock yourself when you do that, and I don't want to change that, then I guess, in a manner, maybe. I will note that I won't say this is a wrong way to play the game, but I would say there are some ways to play the game that are a bit more intended than others. And one of those ways that the game is a bit more intended to be played is not with a massive fleet with hundreds of ships. I know we've talked about this a lot. The balance of most of the story is really intended for you to be in just a flagship. Maybe your flagship and one or two escorts. if you want to have a massive fleet with 100 ships, then go for it. Just realize that the game is going to be very easy if you do that. Something that so I've been playing through Pokemon games recently, and one thing that you can do in Pokemon games is you can grind levels for one of your Pokemon to the point where you're over leveled any battle you go into. Or you could say, I'm going to intentionally cap how far I level my Pokemon to the point where I'm not over leveling myself, and battles can be something of a challenge. For those games, it doesn't stop you one way or the other in terms of how you want to play. You can overlevel, or you can try and keep your level close to where the level cap of whatever the next gym battle is. It's kind of the same way with Endless Sky, where there is a ship that you're kind of expected to have at certain points in the story, or a certain strength level that you expect to have reached at a certain point in the story, and that story is balanced around that expectation. But there's nothing stopping you from going above and beyond, or even trying with an even weaker ship than what's expected, and seeing if you can beat it.
It's funny you mentioned Pokemon because I like to think the comfy or comfortable number for playing the game in a quote right way is 6, and it's funny because you have 6 Pokemon on a team. But I'm more talking from like Escape Velocity, which the game is inspired by, where you were actually limited to 6 ships and you could not have more except if they have fighters or something. So that's kind of how I envision the quote intended way to play it is between 1 and 6 ships. Now, if you're flying around with 6 Kibs, obviously that's going to make the game a lot easier.
Yeah.
But even so, it's not like 50 ships. It's
Bro's
still some
rolling
sort
up
of
with 6 restricted legendary Pokemon.
6 Cord Hydros.
Yeah. Max Sting says, honestly, the main thing that nags me when I only play a flagship is that I can't optimize it as well, because as the flagship, it has to be able to do everything, or at least everything I might potentially need to do right now. I get to enjoy min-maxing and optimize my fighters, and I actually do use. I have used that to deal with the problem of the flagships needing to be the Enterprise D style can do everything ship. I will note that at least for a vast majority of the story, um, I think that usually the amount of cargo you need and the number of passengers you need is very low. Like I think you can get through the whole main campaign, the whole Free Worlds campaign, without more than 20 tons of cargo space, and you probably don't need more than 10 passenger space throughout the whole story. Now, granted, there are other storylines, like minor storylines or storylines in alien space, where you do need a lot more cargo space. But in those cases, I generally just see, oh, I need more cargo space. I'm going to temporarily buy a freighter just for the sake of carrying this mission cargo around. And then once I'm done, I'll park or sell the freighter.
I think it's about a lot more than that, because if you need to like scan a ship for a mission, the scanner needs to be on your flagship. If you want to do asteroid mining, you need an asteroid scanner on your flagship.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your only ship, then it's also your only way of getting money. So any jobs will need cargo space and passenger space. And with only 20 tons, you can't really support a big ship, right? So even though the storyline missions don't require that much, they still require everything, and they require everything on that one ship. So yes, I do agree that this Swiss Army knife setup isn't ideal for a single ship. At least not until you get to like a heavy warship or a heavy freighter.
Mm-hmm.
Those would generally have enough space to, you know, make the asteroid scanner not count for much. But for anything below that, I do think it's a significant issue.
There's also kind of a balancing metric. It's very kind of a gray line when it comes to having a single ship that can do everything. because you either have the case where if we're playing the game as a solo ship with a singular ship, and you have a ship that can do everything, it probably shouldn't be able to do everything really well, because then what's the point of getting another ship in the game? It should maybe do a bit more mediocrely. Maybe like it has average passenger, average weapons, average cargo, average that. But it's kind of hard to avoid that. So there ends up being some ships that can do everything, and there's like no reason to do otherwise. I know a lot of popular ships end up being like chorus ships. So in terms of having a ship that needs to absolutely do everything, that's kind of always gonna. There's always gonna be like a ship like that in the game. Trying to think what I was trying to say about this. Limiting yourself to like a couple ships instead of one ship is still, I guess, another way to play the game. But I do see the idea that a lot of the missions in the game do kind of force you into the one ship role, but it starts to limit your options when it needs to be something that can do a lot of different things at once. And I don't know how many players like or don't like having to swap between different ship classes. It also depends on the campaign, because like, what if you're one mission you're doing combat for the free worlds, and then another one suddenly has you requiring to haul, like Derp was saying earlier, hundreds of tons of cargo. So now you got to go swap your singular ship over to a giant cargo ship that doesn't have a lot of combat capability. So that's where it kind of leans into the whole. It doesn't have to be one ship; it could be a few, and that's why that's kind of around the number to like an intended number to play, like a small amount of ships. It's also part of the fun of the ship capturing gameplay loop. Oh, we're talking about capture chains in chat. I see.
Yeah. I mean, I'll note that. I mean, like the game is. I mean, to say that a combat mission is balanced around you having one ship, or most cargo missions are balanced around you having one ship that might not even necessarily be a freighter. Like I said, in terms of like what it means for there to be an intended way to play the game, like we're not saying you should only have one ship. That's more like the. I mean, I would say that's the bare minimum,
It's
but like you literally can't play with less than one ship.
It's what's expected. It's what things are built around, but it's not saying you absolutely have to do that. It's just how it's where the line of the game is drawn. So if you start doing things outside of that, so if you start playing around with 50 ships or 100 ships, things are going to seem a little easier, or things are going to seem like they're talking to one guy in your ship when you might have a crew of like 10,000, and then you can just go storm in that guy's office and then just do whatever you want or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also, of course, a difference between having 3 ships and having 300 ships, you know? So
Yeah.
you can certainly say, I don't want to restrict myself to just one ship, but not go so far above and beyond that you trivialize the game. Because there's definitely certain combat missions that even if you have like 2 or 3 ships of your own, they can still be fairly difficult to get through, especially if you're always trying to make sure that all your ships survive. And then the other thing I would note with the whole single ship thing, I mean, it is a so yeah, yeah. Doom says, and it's a real problem because it puts you at a real disadvantage against your opponents who don't need to offset crew costs and run cargo / passenger / scanning missions, and hence can specialize solely for combat. I would say, like, yes, that is in a sense a manner in which the player is disadvantaged, but you don't need to do all those things all the time. I mean, we mentioned scanners. You don't always have to have scanners installed. Usually scanners is like a 1 or 2 mission thing. Although, speaking on scanners, I feel like there was a thread on Steam, I think, recently where somebody asked, if you have scanners installed on your escorts, does that do anything? The answer is no right now. And I feel like we should change that. I feel like if you have a escort with an outfit scanner and you hold the outfit scanning key on a target, then your escort with that outfit scanner should say, okay, I will go scan this target because the flagship doesn't have a scanner. Because Otherwise, scanners are something that only makes sense to ever install on the flagship, which then means the flagship is always going to be burdened by the fact that it needs to install scanners at some times.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea. And we should do the same thing for the asteroid scanners.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
also don't work on other ships.
Yeah, the outfit scanner was just an example, but yes, all the scanners. So outfit, cargo, tactical, asteroid. I think that's all of them, right? At least the big ones.
Yeah.
Cosmic Fisher asked, "Why do you at everyone instead of at here?" Because at everyone, I've explained this before. If you at here, only people currently online can see the at. If you at everyone, people who aren't currently online can see the at. I would like it if people who might not even necessarily be online at the moment know, like, hey, we're doing something. So if you are offline but have the ability to be online, then you can come hang out. If you hate getting at everyone's, there are Discord settings for changing that. Azure says Derpy wishes for us to suffer, which is good. All right, well, spent a good amount of time on that question, so moving on. Is the pre-Exodus info about the Remnant currently intended to be revealed or expanded upon in the future, or is it currently intended to remain vague? Warp says, I'm not sure I understand the question. In general, you don't get particularly detailed histories in the game already. Being a complete retelling of events from over half a millennia ago would be rather out of place. Yeah, I mean, I would ask, like, what are you expecting to learn about? Because you do learn that they escaped human space during the Alpha War. What else is there to learn, though, about that? Is the pre-Exodus info about the Remnant currently intended to be revealed or expanded upon in the future? I mean, they were people who were in human space prior to the Alpha Wars and then left. That's kind of all the info there is.
They might be thinking about their relationship with the Deep and the Pug, with the Pug kind of managing pockets of humanity around that time. Whether the Pug were involved in the Remnant Exodus or was it accidental or natural. I don't think the game really clarifies that.
Yeah, I think that is up in the air at the moment, but I also don't know if that's something that needs to be expanded upon. There's plenty of... This goes for the whole game, where there's plenty of questions you might have about the story that don't necessarily need to be answered. Because, sometimes thinking about potential answers is more interesting than getting an answer. I will note that some writers use that as a cop-out, so I'm not saying that's like the goal forever and always, but I also think that going in the other direction, explaining absolutely everything, can ruin a story. So sometimes it does make sense to have open-ended parts of the story.
Yeah.
Quick question from Bazboob in chat. If there was a way to limit some ships or some missions to just one ship, you can only go alone into a system or that system for this mission. That would add some variety and need to have a single capable ship you can use when you can't rely on the Death Glob. Just some sort of one ship attribute for missions and maybe even a solo attribute for secret stuff you can't even take a crew for but literally must go alone. I mean, there are existing conditions you can use to kind of enforce this already. Isn't there a unfettered mission where you need to have a one-on-one duel?
Yep, you need to have all your ships parked. You can be the only ship in just period active, and then you do a 1v1. So I'm certain there could be more of that in the future.
Yeah. He asks how I can link you the player conditions page. So on the wiki, you can see the different conditions that missions can check. One of those, or I think it's a few of these you would end up having to use. Probably track down that mission that Harold says it's probably easier to look at the mission as an example. He's gonna go find it. Okay, cool, thanks. But
Campfire Legacy 3.
there are multiple conditions that missions can check to see how many ships do you have in total, how many are here right now, how many are parked or unparked, that type of stuff. So you could have a mission that says only the player's flagship has to be unparked in order for this mission to be offered or for something to happen in this mission. And attempting to unpark a ship could cause it to fail, for example. All right. Back to these submitted questions, though. Galactic War when? Everyone takes either the side of the pug or the quarg. I think this question has come up before, and the answer is probably no time soon, even if we ever do something like that. Yeah, and Doom says the story of Endless Sky is not about a big overarching war between these two factions that are so incomprehensibly powerful that their presence in the story has no meaningful stakes or anything even vaguely comprehensible to us, and nor should it be. The story in Endless Sky are about the stories in Endless Sky are about humans and other low to mid-tier factions making their way in the galaxy of their own accord. It does not and should not boil down to just a chess game between rival super beings. Yes.
Leads into the idea earlier we were saying how things are more obscure and they're better off with less info. That and I feel like the pug would never fight the Korg like that. They would never just try and take over the galaxy in an outright head-to-head war. They'd probably do some really sneaky stuff or things like that. I hate both of them.
Yeah. As much as I like Star Wars, this is not a story about the dark side versus the light side of the Force. There will not be some epic showdown.
It'd be the gray side versus the gray side at that, right? Yeah. Our Nexus says neither side is really the bad guys.
I am all
No one's
the
bad,
pug,
no one's good.
and I am all the Quark.
Yeah, the Quark are pretty bad at what they are doing, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Will we learn more about the Drac, or were all of their technologies and structures wiped from existence? Warp says possibly. Yeah. I mean, as we said with how the game isn't necessarily about this massive fight between the pug and the quark or the pug and the drac. At the same time, though, you will learn more about them as the story unfolds. But generally speaking, the story will not likely be like, oh, here's a storyline focused entirely on the drac or entirely on the pug. It's more so a matter of how do the drac and the pug fit into the stories of the rest of the civilizations in the galaxy.
You can think of it like it's like the ocean life in real life. You don't know much about it. It's part of the planet. It's pretty cool, but you don't know the beginning and the end of it. I don't know.
something we know more about the surface of the moon than the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, the next question, Endless Guy 3D when, and Warp says no. Yeah, no. Well, hey, all of the 3D models for the ships are available. So technically, if somebody wanted to, they could try something, but we're not doing that. Okay, whoever just added the question, who would win, T-Rex or Spinosaurus?
Gee, I wonder who added that and who also wrote that in the chat 4 messages ago.
Yeah. Next, I demand we restore death benefits, question mark. I don't think that's really a question, but okay. This is a question because it has a question mark, okay?
That part was not a question. Hey.
I want to re-add death benefits as a game rule, they will not be active in vanilla. But if you really want to reactivate them, you can. Or you will be able to, rather. And probably with some additional game rules to tweak how they behave, instead of it just being the fixed share system that it was before. Next, what is your favorite recent addition to the game, released or not yet? And by recent, it says 2025. So anything from the start of this year until now, favorite addition to the game?
I'm biased. I really enjoyed working with the new core content.
Yeah.
Someone didn't like that. Just because it's been like a many years coming kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mac likes the tooltips.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I need to update some of that pull request still. There's a open review on it, right, Tom? Yeah. I'm skimming through the list of pull requests of mine that got merged to pick a favorite.
Tybe, what's your favorite pull request this year?
I don't know.
All right.
Oh, I like number 11350. This is like a completely internal thing. Like, there's no actual change here that anybody would notice, but it lets us do so much more that I have enjoyed doing. Because a bunch of other pull requests I opened later in the year relied on this. It just made things so much
I
easier
think
to add to the game. Anything tying to conditions.
Yeah, I think I actually used this recently because I added auto conditions for how strong a given government is in a system and how many enemies they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that required this. And I didn't even notice because everything just worked.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It just works. Link it, please. Never mind, Lamau.
I thought you were saying that because it was code and not content.
Okay, Master Retriever. Not repeating that.
Let's not talk like that here.
Czech Warrior asks, Devs, a very important question. What's your favorite food? Doom says curry, pizza, and some other thing with garlic in it.
Does it have to be a specific food or like a general food category?
I am a pizza enjoyer as well, I guess. Can I pick like sandwiches? Because you can do sandwiches in so many different ways.
Or like subs? Like Subway?
I used to get Subway all the time. I have not gotten Subway in a while though. One too many hairs in the subs.
I see. It depends on the season, right? Because if you talk about fall, I love stuffing for Thanksgiving.
Mm. What number of hairs were unacceptable? You know, it happens so many times in a row where it's like, at this point, I'm just not going back. Anyway. Okay. Next question. What do Wanderer eggs taste like? You assume they lay eggs. Next question. Do you recommend playing completely vanilla? If not, are there any plugins that you would say stand out from the developer's perspective in terms of quality, lore friendliness, features, etc., that you would say work well with the game?
The high DPI plugin is a highly recommended one, I would
Doesn't
say.
count. That doesn't count.
Is he wrong though? Not if you lack RAM, yeah.
Is that really a plugin though? I feel like it is a plugin, but I feel like it's more like a, I don't know, DLC.
Because we, unlike AAA game developers, understand that not everyone has a 4K monitor, and therefore not everyone needs 4K textures packaged with their game.
I think the plug-in question is hard because like most plugins, especially the popular ones, try and go a step beyond what Endless Sky Vanillas would be like. So there's not a whole lot of like, from what my knowledge, I usually see like the more popular ones like Midnight or Tom's Galactic War, or there's a bunch of like smaller ones that just add a couple of new ships to the game, which I'd say are a bit more vanilla friendly. But a lot of the big popular plugins are like it's a lot of cool new features, ships, stories, and stuff, but they start to take a form of their own. So, um, that being said, plugins that work well with the game, besides high DPI, um, I know is Zipper here? Zipper is not here. Zipper did a main plot plus plugin, which kind of added a bit more functionality to things. But is he could be hit or miss sometimes, with if conditions work or not. But what about you guys? Plugins for you guys?
I don't play plugins.
Wow. He says that, and then he's already told us that once he's done developing for Endless Sky, he's becoming a plugin creator. He's gonna make Endless Sky 2.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the question of do you recommend playing completely vanilla? For a first playthrough, yes. Maybe even for a
Yes.
second playthrough. I think that you should experience the game vanilla before you start diving into plugins. I've seen people who will instantly go to plugins. And then they're
Yeah.
like asking questions about the game when it turns out they're referring to plugin content because they never played vanilla to know what is vanilla and what is plugins. Yeah, Warcore points out, so you know what things are vanilla and don't come asking us about these plugins. Yeah.
I someday would like to make my own plugin for the game that's a bit more vanilla friendly.
Check Warrior asks, will there ever be an Endless Sky 2? Unlikely. I've had ideas for what the storyline of an Endless Sky 2 could be, but really they should just be total conversion plugins. Like if anybody really wants to go super in depth or something the size of a full new game, it should just be a total
Yeah.
conversion plugin because it's not like we're going to create a new engine from scratch or port the game to a different engine for the sake of making a second game. Generally speaking, when people talk about like, oh, make a second version of a game, it's it comes along with also like massive engine updates. Warp says, I hear Unreal Engine 5 is good. So,
I mean, you could
no
quite
comment.
literally, in a plugin, just make a whole new galaxy and just it's not Endless Sky anymore. Do whatever balancing and outfits and stuff you want in that galaxy, and it's just a different game with the
Smart.
same functionality under the hood, of course.
Yeah. All right. Skipping the T-Rex versus Spinosaurus question.
Spinosaurus.
Somebody said I think the T-Rex would win in their submission here.
Spinosaurus is cooler.
Here's a reminder to stand up, stretch, and hydrate. Okay. Well, that's the end of the question submissions.
Okay, the T-Rex would actually win, but the Spinosaurus is still cooler.
The Spinosaurus wins his heart. We ban all French people from playing the game. French. All French people.
Yeah. Now is the period where we usually just take questions as they come. So if you guys have any questions about Endless Sky that haven't been asked yet, or just some
Yeah.
general questions, let us know.
New submitted a question. Who had the original idea for Endless Sky? That will be Michael Zonizer, the guy who started it all. MZ.
Hey, you don't know that. What if his friend just said it out loud and he's like, "I'll make a game."
I'm pretty sure he's talked about it.
Okay.
The TLDR for anyone who don't know, the
Here we
MZ
go.
emoji. Yeah, that is that was the profile picture of Michael on what was it, Google Groups or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's the one who started the game, and the TLDR is that he was a big fan of the Escape Velocity series of games from back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and he was looking for a game like that, and he didn't find one. He did actually find Knave, but at the time that he found Knave, it wasn't being developed at all. Development had tied down with that game, so he's like, "Well, guess I'll make my own." So he made his own game, inspired by Escape Velocity. Fast forward 10 years,
hmm
and now we're here.
Made his own choices on how he felt the game should go as well. Because I believe Endless Sky is a bit more based on the original Escape Velocity and a little bit of like Override, and less so on what Nova was like. Because if you look at a lot of ship or like early ship designs of Escape, or sorry, excuse me, Endless Sky, and the fact that it's like 2D down view, it's a bit more kind of leaning on the older games of that title. I know the question earlier was if one in 3D ships, and that was more like a Nova thing. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's linking Knave now. Knave's doing good too. Um, I've seen a bit of their gameplay. It's quite different than ours, but the um, reference back to the old EV series is definitely there. It's another good take on it.
Somebody says would also recommend Star Sector. Yeah, if
I
you
did try the
have money.
um,
Yeah, Zipper says you can also contribute to Knave, and some people here do. Yes, we do have some overlap between us and Knave.
we do have some traders.
Nah, they're fine.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, so if you want another game kind of like this, then go check it out. It's not like unlike AAA game developers, we are not competing for your time, which means competing for your money to force you to buy microtransactions or to bait you into buying microtransactions. Go play whatever you want. Just don't go and be like, "Oh, Endless Sky sucks. Knave is so much better."
Yeah, be nice.
Knave lets you nest carriers, fighters carrying fighters carrying fighters. Wow.
So did EV. It just broke your game because it kept doing it. She put the same ship in the same bay.
Where's the skin shop for Endless Sky? I need my gotcha fix. Endless Sky Pretty
Um,
Derby.
Zobes asks, "Is there a way in GitHub to claim that I'm working on something? I don't know if this is a separate or continuation of that. What is the etiquette for helping someone finish a PR? I.e., how can I see something through that was started but hasn't been finished and the OP isn't responding?" Typically, if something's been around for longer than I'd say like 2 or 3 months, I'd say it's kind of stalling or getting stale. Usually, what we would do with those PRs is we would orphan them and then close them. So anything with the orphan tag would be something that has had work done on them, but the OP code, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to work on it. But as for PRs that are like in progress, really just depends on what the OP is up to. If they're just having some real life, or they're taking a break or something, they might as well just could just be very well them going back to the PR. So maybe just asking a comment what the status of the PR is, stuff like that. But as for things that have been started but hasn't been finished and role hasn't been responding for a while, again, those should be orphaned. And if they're not, or if there's some PRs like that that you feel should be orphaned, you can always comment, let us know, stuff like that.
There's been plenty of times too where people. I think we've had ones where we didn't even mark them as orphaned. Orphaned is just a tag that we use to say like, hey, OP is not working on this anymore. But if
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants to pick it up, we would look at it. In which case,
Yeah.
you just create your own branch off of their pull request, update it, open a new pull request, and then link to the old one, of course.
Zobs also says, also, for example, an issue to share that you're starting on a fix.
Just say
Even
you are.
just opening, yeah, just even opening a PR and linking it to the issue is already gonna tie it to the issue and show that there's work being done on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can always comment on the issue as well. We do have a big backlog of PRs that I would say OPs may or may not have responded to in a while, but especially with new ones that pop up, we do see them.
Okay, now people are just adding more. Somebody's just spamming this at this point. Will there ever be a planet named Amazonite? No. Bro just wanted to hear me say my name, didn't he? Potential
It
buff
will be
to
now.
potential buff to missile jammers. Add a dodge chance to ships when equipping a jammer, where the missile goes above or below the ship without exploding. Probably no. Any official
Didn't
flags for each
MG
human faction, or are there official flags for each human faction? Nothing official. I've seen people make stuff that looks pretty cool though.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is just the same question twice, but with a couple words flipped. What would you say is the strongest / weakest feature of the game currently, and what stands out to you as being as a thing you are the most / least proud of? Weakest feature is definitely UI. I'll tell you that. There's
Also?
so many buttons that like if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember from the dialogue that the help dialogue that pops up, there's just no way of knowing they're there.
Yeah.
As for the strongest, the story.
The amount of content.
The
Like,
amount of
we do have
stuff to do.
a we do have a lot of people who have been around for a long time, so they've seen the same things for quite a long time. But every time we get a new player, I always peek Steam like reviews and comments.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who come back to the game and they like realize, wow, there's a lot more than I thought there was.
Yeah.
It's really good to see comments like that.
I'm proud of the fact that we've chugged along for so many years. We're still in One
Yeah,
Piece.
that apparently that's bewildering to a lot of people.
One
Which
Piece.
yeah, it can be. Oh no. The One Piece is real.
As far as in terms of the UI, though, we've been improving that as time goes on.
Mm.
So it's not like it's absolutely terrible, but it's just definitely something that could be improved, and it is being improved. Shader rendered UI when you get to it. Chop chop.
Bloom. Oh god.
UI needs when you make
You
it
guys and
and
your
it isn't
Bloom.
terrible. Yes. Technical debt in G
Yeah.
minor. Do you guys still use a sprite sheet for text? Yes. How many work accidents does and does a syndicate factory experience in a year? Those numbers are classified.
More than they tell you. All of them.
Yeah, Warp says, don't know how y'all think fonts are stored, but it's just an image. Yeah, it's always just a sprite sheet. Unless it's vector, I guess, in which case, I don't know. Yeah, it's basically still a sprite sheet.
Yeah, all fonts, not just ours.
Yeah. Always has been, yeah. How do you think font should be stored? In a text file.
In a typewriter.
In a blend file.
Blend.
As pictures of letters. You'll never guess what a sprite sheet is. All right. All right, people are still submitting questions. Who is your favorite character within the main storyline? I will note that we should probably be wrapping up soon. Favorite character? Hard to say. Freya.
Mm,
When she shoots you. 1 out of 100 times. Barmy is best character. There's no other option. Somebody else said Barmy too.
you guys just like
His name's actually
flamethrowers.
Edward. Yeah, that's not his name. That's a adjective, yeah.
His name now, we're changing it.
Doom says Alondo. Big if true. Barmy the man versus Barmy the idea. A short essay, in parentheses, 3-hour video on YouTube.
Bill says James, the tutorial captain.
Are there any features in the game that started out as a bug? Hector says yes, several. Which ones?
The ones that we implemented that were buggy at first, I don't know.
Fighters transferring fuel, question mark? I'd be surprised if that was a bug. Originally.
I don't think that was a bug. I actually remember a pull request about that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
The
Here's the
coalition.
problem, though. If it was a bug that became a feature, then in my mind it was always a feature. If I recall correctly, it was an unintended consequence of the energy sharing behavior. I definitely know that
No,
when the energy sharing was added, we were like, no, this shouldn't be the case, that energy is shared. Maybe both were added at the same time and we just kept one and not the other.
no. So fuel sharing, I think, was introduced independently because of the RAM scooping mechanics. So there's actually two things that needed it. One of them was RAM scooping with the fighters to refuel the flagship, and the other one was to use afterburners on flagships because, sorry, on the fighters, because they need the fuel as well. So we needed to transfer fuel between the flagship and the fighter both ways. With the energy, it was a bit of a different issue. The problem wasn't actually that energy was being transferred, it was that energy was being generated on those ships, and that massively increased the effective outfit space of the carriers. But that was just a matter of the newly generated energy. Fuel transfer only affects the ships when they are docking and undocking. So that's somewhat different of a feature.
Hector points out a good one. Kahet engines come to mind. And Azure says Kahet engines not requiring any energy to work is kind of a bug, but also a feature of those engines. Yeah. So yeah, Kahet engines, instead of using thrusting fuel or steering, or not thrusting energy or steering energy, they just constantly draw energy. That then means, though, that if you're out of energy, because of the way that normally what happens is if you try to use your engines, it looks at, do you have enough energy to use relative to the thrust energy or the steering energy or the turn energy, whatever it's called. And if the answer is no, then you can't move. But since they have zero thrust and turning energy requirements, it always says that it can move, even if you're out of energy, which you would think wouldn't be the case, but it kind of is. I wouldn't necessarily call it a bug, but it was definitely unintended. And Hector says there's the exploit with the Bunradia negative cooling working independently of regular cooling, making them unaffected by cooling inefficiency. That one was also unintended. I just did not think of that, and I still need to nerf those.
Oh, you had to say something.
Yep. Somebody did submit a question that is now being answered by Warp and Doom. Favorite ship to play with? Warp says Manta. Doom says Dreadnought. My answer is the Tempest. Or the Aerie if we're just sticking with human ships. Don't say
I was
Protector.
gonna
Why would I say
say,
Protector?
if we say only human, I'm also the Aerie. I love me light carriers.
Mule is fun too.
If we're talking alien ships, though, my old favorite was the Albatross. Everyone loves the Peregrine. I love the Albatross.
Aren't you a big fan of the Protector? It was supposed to be your
Me? Oh, him. Oh, you. Yeah.
Somebody made a person ship for me, and I think they used the Protector, but I said no, I don't want this.
I take it back. I like the what is it? Is it TF-109? The automata carrier that does nothing but just carry drones.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ships.
I think I joked about having a Protector person ship, but it was like, oh yeah, all the gun ports are pointed outward instead of having turrets, right? That was just a joke though, but I've also joked about having the Troll, the Star Barge with a nuke on it. And so many other ships I've joked about being my person ship, and I've never been like, okay, now I want this one as my person ship.
My favorite thing with the TF-109 is it looks like a completely different ship when it has its drones docked. It looks like this like menacing bundle of blades and like angled design, and then when it launches all its drones, it looks like a completely different ship. Yeah, I guess that's my favorite ship to play with.
Wet dog syndrome.
Also, because core detainers are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone have recommendations for someone who sucks at combat? What about
Fleet.
combat? What'd you say?
Just get a fleet and have them fight for
Fleet?
you.
Okay, that's not advice. That's just the easy option. Okay. What about combat
Yeah,
is
that's what I
difficult?
do.
I would say practice on weaker ships. Get yourself like a medium or a heavy and attack lights and mediums. Just see how that works
Trouble
out. Maybe,
aiming?
I don't know. Trouble aiming. Oh,
Practice
activate auto
leading.
aim.
You guys are not giving advice. You're giving solutions.
Yeah, there's a auto aim setting that I'm pretty sure should be on by default. If not, it should be. Auto fire should not be on by default though. And if you target a ship, then as you aim close to the ship, your ship will automatically take over the rest of the aiming. And I mean, especially if you use turrets, then you don't even have to ever worry about auto aiming being on or not, because the turret's always going to aim towards your target. But for guns, auto aiming is very helpful. Use exclusively meteor missiles; they never miss. Do people just not look at the settings, asked Warp? Yeah, they don't. I've seen negative Steam reviews where I can clearly tell this person just never bothered to look at the settings or the controls. They're like, oh, these controls suck, these settings suck. It's like, then change them? Like, sure,
We
maybe
could
you
have
can...
better default controls.
Huh?
Like we could move on to the WASD scheme by default.
Oh, yeah, I think that's
That
something
would
we should do. But still, you have the option to go into the settings and change things. Hector says, to be fair, if I load up a new game and it plays like crap, I'm not going to go digging into the settings to try and fix it. I'm just going to go play a different game. Well, then you miss out. I've talked about this before. I don't know about you guys. When I start a new game, one of the first things I do is hop into the settings and hop into the controls menu. Even if there's a tutorial that tells me the controls, first thing I'm doing is going to the controls section. Sure says the endless sky settings menu is kind of whack, to be honest. How? Zob says, I'm starting work on the multiple key map issue, FYI. My suggestion to you, I'm imagining some sort of section in the controls menu where you have the option to cycle through the defaults or the presets rather, and the presets could have names to them. Presets should have names. Then we have like a classic preset or a modern preset. The modern preset would be WASD. Classic would be the existing control scheme, because that is classic in the sense that it's based off of escape velocity. Instead of default 1 and default 2, yeah. But what I don't want to be the case is somebody clicks on that thing to change the preset that's displayed, and they completely wipe whatever controls they had. So what should probably happen is there should be, right now, whenever you make a change to your controls, that change instantly saves. I think what should instead happen is you see your controls, your current controls. If you change anything, you need to click like a save button or like, yes, I want to save these changes before leaving, or you can also leave and not save any of the changes. That way people can flip through the presets to see what the presets look like relative to their current controls without overwriting their current controls. And then anytime you take a preset and change any of the controls, then your currently selected preset should probably change to custom or something like that. That then means, though, that we the settings, or the controls panel would then need to save your current control scheme into memory, and then push it back into the actual controls after leaving the panel. Whereas right now, like I said, everything just instantly updates. Maxting says, could have a timestamp set of control schemes. I hate this new control scheme I made, but the one I made last week is better. I don't know if we'll have a history of controls like that, but you could very easily, because these control schemes would be stored in a text file somewhere, just like every other piece of data in the game. So you could actually save the text file for your current controls. That should be stored somewhere that we can access easily. And then you could just paste that back in later. It wouldn't be savable in game. You would need to go outside of the game to find the file to save it somewhere else. But that would be an option. Same with a lot of other stuff that's being worked on. I just kind of like the idea of snapshots. I mean, theoretically we could, but that seems kind of weird to have like save snapshots. Actually, maybe not. Maybe you could save your presets if you wanted to, and they would be stored kind of like save files. I feel like that's like a separate request. First, though, is just having a way for us to cycle through default presets that we give. Zobi says, my current idea is to have a pop-up menu from Cornier's previous work as a starting point. That menu would allow for all the things we've talked about. I will give feedback when I see it. Maxing CS as yeah, no, it's not important, just an idle notion. Yeah, yeah. Although I mean, it's not a bad idea, so it could be definitely something that we do, just not as an initial piece of work.
Maybe there's 2 more questions. Did we get to the fight one yet?
No, but let's grab these two and then we'll do lightning
Yeah.
round. Don't submit any more questions. We're done taking
Yeah.
submitted questions. But the last two submitted questions, could people keep adding more? What do you think, or do you think fights end too quickly, or are projectiles too fast? I feel like the space combat in Inland Sky resembles more like an aerial skirmish in 2D rather than grand naval battles, in my opinion. Doom says you call them ships, but yes, in design and scale and how they behave in combat, you're right. They're more like large planes or space planes, like developments of the real-world space shuttle than ocean-going ships. That said, you might find the half game speed, 0.5x game speed, once we've finished getting it implemented to be to your liking, so keep an eye out for that. Yes, we would like to add a way to slow down the speed of the game so that if somebody thinks that 1x speed is too fast in combat, they can play at half speed. We have also talked about just general changes to slow down the combat of the game at all levels without the need of a change in game speed. That was mainly with respect to changing the DPS of weapons, though, rather than slowing down the speed of ships and projectiles. So, and I don't know how. I don't think it's a guaranteed thing to happen, but there has been stuff in the works along those lines.
Either that or the health of ships. It's kind of a we're not sure which one would be better for gameplay, or both. That might be a bit of a stretch though.
Yeah.
But I feel like the half speed slow thing is definitely something a lot of people have been asking for, and I feel like it'll bring the game's combat a bit more in line to what people might be imagining with spaceships and the ship sizes and scale in the sky is like. It's definitely not like Grand Navy battles, because when I think Grand Naval battles, I think huge distances that battleships are shooting each other from, and aircraft carriers have like 40 fighters, and that's not really what the sky ships are like. They're more kind of smaller in scope. Carriers got a couple fighters, battleships got a couple turrets, stuff like that. Interceptors got a couple guns. It is a bit more arcadey. That is kind of the style in the sky is.
Also, yes, the fact that we added the pause key recently, that should also help. Relatively recently, that is. You can now pause the game in combat.
I think I said this last Campfire chat. I forgot that when I was testing it out, I somehow managed to bind it to my left Windows key. You could see an image of that one of the announcements when I was posting the update for that. I was like, don't change it to the pause key. I went to Alt Tab in the game and I went back into the sky. My game was frozen. I was like, what the heck? I don't remember pressing it.
I broke it.
Yeah.
All right. Then the final submitted question: is it possible to add a game rule that limits the number of ships you can have for challenge players?
Not right now.
I would like to add
maybe.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Warp says, I have a secret for you. You can also limit yourself to a particular number of ships if you want. Yeah, the game doesn't need to be the one to enforce that on you. What I would like to have it be something the game enforces at some point, but yes, you can just limit yourself right now. That plenty of people play that way. I mean, I talked about it earlier in this exact chat how I like to not play with a massive fleet. All right, so that's all the submitted questions. Do not submit any more. They will not be answered. And we'll do a little bit of a speed round here. The last 5-10 minutes, just throw questions in chat and we'll answer stuff quickly before we head out. No, we won't, says Warp won't answer. How are you today? That was already answered. You should rewind the stream. What's the best dinosaur? Also already answered. Is cereal soup? The answer is no. I will not elaborate further. If cereal was soup, we would call it soup. But no, we call it cereal. What secrets lie in the Shadow Realm? The screams of damned souls. Personally, I'm bad at combat. Get good.
That wasn't a question. Why'd you answer that?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? No. I also will not elaborate.
Everyone else says yes.
Who is Anarchist 2? No one knows.
Another developer. She hides in the shadows. Anarchist. Will we ever get to play on this guy? And then it's just like, hi, probably not. Work start? No.
When is selling the pilot's license to get a settle down ending going to be added? That's called deleting your save file. Quark start? Unlikely. The real question is, who is Anarchist 1? Even deeper questions we may never know the answer to. What in the world is that?
What's that?
Looks like a lot of food. This is a sandwich. Average American serving size.
What happened to Hector 78?
What happened to the first 71 hectares? They were fired. Every time we hire a new community officer, it's stipulated in the contract your name needs to be Hector, followed by a number that increments for every new hire. Average American fridge and it's 2 packs of C4, 2 bricks of C4. From, guess the anime, Gunsmith Cats, I don't know.
I feel like you're right. I don't know.
Yes, Gunsmith Cat, let's go. Never seen it. It's on my watch list. But I have never seen it yet. Weebs.
You're just a weeb for nuclear weapons.
Which alien food do you guys think tastes the best? Wander eggs.
No.
Canonically, it's pickled acorns. All right, well.
All right, I say we're
Yeah.
We want to get out of here. No.
All right, well, any final thoughts from any of the devs here? Anything you guys want to mention?
New release September 20, either 7th or 9th.
27th. September 27th. New release. Be there or be square. Had to release it later to avoid Silksong. Perhaps. 3 weeks from today, this is correct.
This guy's song.
A date which will live in infamy. Didn't Silksong crash every single storefront it released on? Big if true. Hey, we're going to get there one day. People flocking to download the next free update. Warp says, no, we're not. Such a Debbie Downer.
Once we get the Republic campaign in.
I'm going to take the day off when the new ES release drops. On a Saturday, by the way.
Your name isn't Debbie. I don't think it's Warp either, but you know what? Hasn't
Maybe
stopped
they work
us.
weekends, you don't know. Dang, that must suck. Who do you think keeps all the services you use running on the weekend? I don't use services on the weekend.
Me.
Do you use electricity? That's just always there.
Thanks, though.
No one does that. That's just a thing that always happens. It's like food just appearing in the grocery store. There's no one involved in that, right? You believe in electricity. All right, okay.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to this month's monthly developer campfire chat. First Saturday of every month. That's when we do these.
Yep.
Dude, I sound so unenthusiastic right now. I'm trying to think of what else to say. How do I usually end these? It's been a minute. Thank you for being around. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being in chat and engaging with us. Thank you for making this not boring, because sometimes I see the number of questions we get and I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, are we actually going to like do anything, or is it just going to show up and then we leave? Let me tell you what, we have another meeting like this we do, but it's only with the core members, and they never show up. We show up, it's like me and 2 other devs, and then it's like, all right, no one's here. Guess we'll try again next month. So thank you for all of you non-core members for actually engaging with us.
Thanks
You
for
are the
coming,
true
guys.
core members. You're the ones really keeping this server running, all right? Toom says, thank you for the questions, the whole questions, and nothing but the questions. Exactly. Petition for the outer circle. I think there's an outer circle room still. It's in the archives. There is. But yeah, the replay for this will be available on Twitch and then later on YouTube whenever Hector gets to it, right? So if you didn't see the whole thing, you will be able to see the whole thing later. And I hope everybody has a good rest of your day and week and month until the next release comes out. See you guys then.
See you next meeting.
Adios.